Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? Hope everybody had a great Monday. Getting ready to start the weekend off. Uh, Weekend was okay as far as football. Tide rolled, but then my Cowboys blew it at the end. Um, so I wanted to go back and talk about something that I talked about earlier on. I'm sorry if I repeat myself because sometimes I ramble and sometimes it's beating a don't like beating a dead horse, but I want to go back and touch on North Korea. And again, I'm sorry if I've did this video before, but I couldn't find it and I upload to my YouTube page. So North Korea has been threatening us with war for what, since the last one? I mean, the first one ended in 1953, and they feel the need to do a nuclear test ever so often. I'm not even sure they really have nuclear bombs. I think they estimate that they have like 8, but I don't really know if I believe that. Also, every one of their missiles keep blowing up over the Pacific and not reaching anywhere. Uh, the thing about this is for so many years, I mean, and I'm not going to lay us all like President Obama, I mean, because every other president's did it. We've coddled this nation and bowed to their demands and try to bring them into all these talks. And I don't understand why we have the strongest military in the world and we're allowing this dictator to dictate to us what we're going to do and continue to make threats towards the United States. I mean, he's essentially said he's declared war against us so many times. I said the other day that President Trump had declared war against him. He's threatened one of our provinces, Guam, and the 2,200 Americans that are there. He's threatened to blow us off the face of the world, and yet we continue to take this from him. Now I wonder how many other nations we would let threaten us militarily and not respond with some kind of show of force. I mean, for God Almighty, we went to war in Iraq for nothing. I mean, and look how many lives we lost there, and we destroyed it, and what did we accomplish? But yet we let Kim Jong Un and even his father continue to make these, well, his father when he's still alive, excuse me, to make these threats against the United States. So that begs down to the next question. I mean, is this guy really crazy enough to set off an attack against the United States? I don't know particularly. I mean, because his whole thing is about regime staying in control. Um, so I don't know. I mean, his main thing is wanting to keep his regime in control. So I mean, a lot of it may be talk, but I still wouldn't put it past this guy to launch some kind of attack, whether it be a artillery strike or a nuclear strike, or an artillery strike, thinking that we wouldn't respond heavy. A nuclear strike, his country would be annihilated. But if they continue to develop these weapons and they're continuing to make threats on us, we don't want that to happen, and we need to nip it now before we have to deal with it later. And I know that, of course, I don't want to see any casualties. Nobody does. But if we don't deal with the situation in North Korea now, and I mean militarily, because Trump's not the type of guy to play brinksmanship with. He's really not. This is not a guy that I think Kim Jong Un really wants to threaten or push his buttons or make him upset in any way. Because there's no telling what Trump's going to do. I mean, there's really not. Sorry, guys, I'm looking for something that I can't find. Anyway, it's not important. Anyway, but what I was back to the topic, we've either got to deal with this guy now or we've got to deal with him later. And I know it's going to cost casualties, but, if he keeps wanting to threaten us and send over these nuclear bombs and these missiles, I mean, my reply to that is, like I said, Trump's already a guy you don't want to push. But if he wants a war, let's give him his damn war. I mean, because we would roll through them like a hot knife through butter. I mean, their main military tank, I think, is a T-34, which was a good tank in World War II. I mean, their planes are 70 years old. I mean, their equipment's so antiquated. I mean, it would just be a just onslaught, and I mean, it would be a massacre. And China's not going to get involved in it because China doesn't. China's not going to go to war with us because we'd defeat China in a war. Now we could never invade China and occupy it. I mean, because it's a country of what 1.5 billion people. But if there was a limited war on the Korean Peninsula in which China sent in troops, we would run through them too because China's main battle tanks are T-34. I mean, their military is just so antiquated. I mean, we would just destroy them, their air force, very quickly. It'd be a very quick, short war. So I mean, Kim Jong Un needs to really he needs to realize that he's playing with fire, and he needs to back off, run his little nation, go to his little palace on the weekends or resort, and just live out his little life. Because, like I said, if he wants his war, let's give him this damn war, and we can just go ahead and change that whole regime then, and reunite the continent of South Korea. Because I'm really sick of watching our presidents throughout history let this guy dictate to us, the United States of America, what we're going to do and make threats at us. So I know a lot of people probably don't agree with me and say this is going to start a nuclear war. Well, no. If he fired some kind of nuclear weapon, yeah, it'd be us nuking his whole country, and nobody wants that. I mean, we don't. But I mean, if he continues to make these threats, then I'm going to have to say that let's just go ahead and take care of him right now. I mean, it wouldn't take long. I mean, you could have a 3 to 4 week bombing campaign that could take out all their command and control centers, take out their communications. Once you take that command and control and communications, there's no way their troops can coordinate each other. Airfield strikes would take out their airfield easily. I mean, if they did launch, try to challenge us in the skies with planes, we would most definitely take out their entire air force, probably on a night or two, the way we did in Iraq. I mean, our air superiority is just so much better than any other nations, and once you gain air superiority, everything else is over with. And what a little bit of a navy they've got, we would overwhelm that quickly. And that would put, so then basically he has no command and control over his ground troops. And you could use really just basically pound them from the air at that point, take out the rest of their anti-aircraft facilities, their missile sites, and start hitting, Pyongyang and, and his little palace up there. And then you could probably go in with like in the first Iraq war, go in with 150,000 troops, and after they've taken that kind of pounding from the air and from our missiles, they would cave pretty easy, and North Korea would fall quickly. People say they can fight to the death, but when you're getting attacked from the air and you can't even see where your enemy's hitting you from, they would cave like a house of cards. But the thing about it is, if we don't take care of them now, we're going to have to take care of it in the future. And taking care of it in the future may be a lot more deadly, because the more time we let them work to get nuclear capabilities and to promote, well, not promote's not the right word I'm looking for, better improve their ballistic missiles, it's just going to be only a matter of time before they can get something hit the United States. So the answer to it is to go ahead and, like, I'm not a proponent of war. I believe there are times that war are necessary, and like I said, I don't think either Iraq war was justified. That's another topic for debate, but it's come to the time now that The only answer with North Korea is if they're going to continue to threaten us and threaten our protectorates, is it's time for us to deal with them the way we should. And yes, there'll be casualties. Yep, Kevin, I'm live. Yep, there'll be casualties. I don't think there will be a tremendous amount. The biggest thing is he's got their artillery is so close to Seoul that if we went into something like that, they would try to stop them, but that'd be easy to take care of with airstrikes and Patriot missiles. So I think the first thing to do, instead of launching just a full-scale attack on them, is the next time that he fires one of his little missiles over, we send a squadron over and we blow it the hell up. And then maybe that'll get the message to him that, hey, we're not going to sit by and do this. And if he retaliates in one way, then we unleash the full might of the United States military against him and go ahead and finish a war that we should have ended 64 years ago. Because if he don't, said he has this thing that he wants to go at us, I don't know. I wouldn't put anything past the guy. I mean, honestly, again, I think he's just kind of saber rattling. But enough's enough. We're the United States of America. We're not going to let some country tell us what we're going to do, threaten American citizens, threaten to bomb us, threaten to launch nuclear weapons, and just sit back and take it. And some of our presidents have done that, and that's enough. It's time to answer, fire with fire. And I mean, if this is what he wants, if he really wants a war, then like I said, let's give him his damn war. Anyway, that was just my thoughts for tonight. Probably a lot of people won't agree with me on it. I understand. We got our own opinions. I'm kind of, I was a military guy, and I just, I don't like the idea of us being pushed around by some third-rate rogue nation, or anybody else for that matter. And, Trump stood up to him some, but I think he really needs to answer with a show of force. I mean, whether it be sending 6 battle groups out there and having 100,000 Marines and a couple Army divisions threatening him, maybe he'd get the message then. Maybe that one flyover we bombed a facility to get it. But we got to get a message across to this guy. I mean, we went to war in Iraq for a lot less than what this guy's got. I mean, we went to war there just on the assumption that they had weapons of mass destruction. You see how that got us. I mean, and they wasn't even threatening us. I mean, well, there was no reason we should have ever been to war in Iraq. I mean, we've created so much instability throughout the Middle East. Without war, they're ever going to get it back. And I remember in the first Gulf War, Bush got criticized because he didn't go to Baghdad. And I remember in the 2004 debate between Kerry and Bush, Kerry used Bush's his own father's words against him. He said the reason he didn't go into Baghdad and take out Saddam was that it would have created an imbalance of power throughout the nation, it would have created an imbalance of power throughout the nation, instability throughout the Middle East, and U.S. forces would be seen as bitter occupiers in a hostile environment with no exit strategy. Ding, 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 he hit that right on the head. And how long was we there? How many American lives did we lose? How many Iraqis who were totally innocent, how many lost their lives? And, Saddam was not a Islamic, terrorist or fundamentalist. I mean, every time you seen Saddam, he either had a suit on or he had a military uniform on. Every now and then you'd see him with some of the traditional Arab garb, but hardly ever. I mean, Saddam had a secular nation. His vice president was Tariq Aziz, who was a Christian, of all things. Did Saddam do... and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to defend Saddam Hussein, but the way that country's set up with the Kurds and Shiites and the Sunnis, I mean, you've got sectarian strife. So was Saddam hard-handed? Yes. You know, he did a lot of awful things to his people, but when Saddam was in power, you know, there was no terrorism that was going crazy throughout this country. ISIS did not control half that country. Al Qaeda was not there. I mean, Saddam actually kept these people out of his country. So it was really a mistake of going after Saddam. I mean, if you wanted to go to war, then by God, you could have got me right behind going to war with Saudi Arabia, considering 15 of the 19 hijackers came from there, and it was all financed through the Saudi government or through their banks. I really could have got behind going to war with them. But, you know, nothing was said about that. And, you know, you never get told these things about the royal family and their ties. You know, the government doesn't want you to know these types of things. And you know, I mean, the Saudis' fingerprints were all over it. I mean, you had what? It was 15 of the 19 came from Saudi Arabia. I think there was one Egyptian, two from Kuwait, maybe, and maybe one was from Iraq. One was from somewhere over there. I don't know, man, but yeah, you could have really got. I mean, I would have been wholehearted going to war. But see, there was always a thing about going to war with Iraq anyway, because when I was in the Army, I remember they told us in 2002, there was like sometime between between February and May of next year, that would have been 2003, said, we're going to war with Iraq. And I was like, what? What's he talking about? We're going to war with Iraq for what? I mean, it's the craziest thing I ever heard. And then shortly long after that, it wasn't long until Bush started making his case against Iraq for weapons of mass destruction, and then we violated the law and invaded a sovereign nation. And there's actually arrest warrants out at The Hague for Bush, Tommy Franks, Colin Powell, Wolfowitz, and Wolfowitz was the architect of it. Wolfowitz was went to work for a conservative think tank in 1997, and he was trying to find an entrance strategy into Iraq then. I mean, their whole purpose was to go back to war with Iraq and take Saddam out of power. For what reason, I don't know, whether it's to gain a foothold in the Middle East. That's the only thing I can think of. I mean, was, like I said, to gain a foothold in the Middle East, because, I mean, there was no reason for it. And even the night of 9/11, you know, Bush was saying, hey, find me a tie between this and Iraq, and his national security advisor said, Mr. President, there is no ties to this. Iraq had nothing to do with it, you know, blah, blah, blah. Bush didn't, basically just play, and we've seen what happened since then. But I think that was the only thing it was. Oh yeah, and there's one out for Cheney. There's one out for did I say Rumsfeld already at The Hague? But I mean, that just goes back to our military-industrial complex and extension of manifest destiny. I mean, we was supposed to control the United States from sea to sea, and now it's apparently all over the world. But sorry guys, I got way off topic there, giving a military history lesson. And just giving my opinions on things we should do in Iraq. But I think the thing to do with North Korea, back to that, is send out a couple carrier groups, loaded down with Marines and a couple Army divisions, start having war games right off the coast. And if he launches a missile, then we launch an airstrike and have several bombing flyovers. And if that doesn't send the message, then by God, if he wants to go to war, let's go to war. Because either we're going to have to deal with him now, or we're going to have to deal with him later. And if we have to deal with him later, it's going to cost a lot more lives, a lot more money than what it would be right now. Like I said, I don't think anybody wants war, but I think he's almost backed us into a corner that we have no war. And we're the United States of America. You're not going to back us into a corner and threaten us with war. I mean, come on. We've got the strongest military in the world. And like I said, Trump's not a man to play brinksmanship with, so he needs to step very lightly. Sorry if I got off topic there tonight, guys. I'd actually did this video earlier before, but I couldn't find it, so I couldn't load it to my YouTube channel. So I'm sorry if I've already played this for y'all. But anyway, that was just my opinion on what we need to do. Hey Jay, what's up, man? I'm just talking about how we need to deal with North Korea. You know, with the United States, we can't let them push us around, man. You know, they keep making all these threats. If they want a war, let's give them their war. I mean, we'd roll through them like a hot knife through butter. So, I mean, we just can't let this Kim Jong-un sit around and tell the United States what we're going to do. And like I said, Trump's not the man he wants to play brinksmanship with. But, sorry, I've been on long enough tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the video. I'm fixing to get ready to go watch Monday Night Football. And hope everybody enjoys the rest of their evening. I'll be back soon. Later, guys.